So yeah, just gonna put my phone on
Big
flight.
hugs back.
What?
Big hugs back.
I'll tell him next time I talk to him. Yeah.
Good. Yes, so Jenny's going to share a little bit of her story.
Yeah, I'd be happy to share anything. I am feeling just available, and can everyone hear me? Okay, yeah. I that's my big experience nowadays, just to be available for the Holy Spirit, really.
Yes.
And it's great. And the way Spirit works is upon invitation. So if I'm with somebody that really wants to hear, then I let Spirit come through. And it's an awesome experience to not, have to figure it out myself, just to be used by the Spirit. So I can share about my journey. I began with the course in 2005. That's when I started. And when I got the course, I couldn't stop reading it. It was so powerful for me. And after about 7 months of reading it on my own, I felt to search for other people. So I looked online. I lived in Sweden. I was a single mother. I was a psychology student. I was at a university, and I was on my first year of the psychology program. But when I started reading the course, it was as if the psychology books were not interesting anymore. I had to force myself, and I could only read one sentence, and I was like, I can't read this. This was not interesting. So I could just read the course, and that's the Holy Spirit wanted to educate me with true psychology. So I just read the course, and in some miraculous way, I made the exams for the whole first year. I don't know how. I prayed, and I prayed for what I should focus on, and the Spirit told me what I should focus on. So I went through it, but then I wanted to find other people, because I was very fascinated by the message of the course, and I wanted to see who else was into it. So, and the first person that showed up online was David. Although I was in Sweden, I searched for Swedish people, I thought, but David's face came up, and it said, David Hoffmeister is coming to Sweden in July, and this was maybe in May. So, and I felt immediately that I'm supposed to go. So I signed up and went to this huge course conference. They have this yearly conference, and 70 people, and a huge circle in a very big hall in a castle. And David had already started speaking, so I came in late, and David always shares the story because he saw me when I came in, because I had to cross the room. The only spot was on the other side in this huge circle, which was a very interesting experience coming, because I had let go of all groups, and I did not want to have anything to do with people, really. For a long time I had been I had left the church, I had left groups behind, and so I didn't come for the group experience. I came just because I had an experience with the course, and so being sent to David or meeting David so soon in my journey was just, of course it was the plan, I can say that, but it was such a blessing and very powerful. And then after only a few months, or after a couple of months, I decided I need to quit the psychology program. So I went to the first lecture of the next semester, and there was a social psychologist there, and he was speaking about people who take another road. He spoke about people who succeed in a very deep way without ordinary way of the world, like without a university and they still succeed. And I thought my heart was just beating all the way through, because I felt like he was talking about me, and I felt like it was the Spirit giving me the invitation to quit. So at the end of the lecture, I stood up and told my class that I'm quitting. This was the last time I'm here. And I went home. I did not know what to do. I didn't have a plan. I only knew that I needed to follow the Spirit, and I needed to trust what this book says. I had met David, but I hadn't really. I didn't have David in my mind, or I didn't know what. I mean, he did invite everybody to come to the Peace House. He said, "I have a Peace House, and you're welcome." But I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what to do at the Peace House. So that, and also I didn't know how to travel to America. I was a poor Swedish single mom that tried to meditate all the time, and I had a job on the side. I took care of 2 kids on the weekends that needed a place to be on the weekends. So they came to my home. So it was such a good job because I could just stay at home. And I just studied the course and meditated, and I was guided into some yogic postures. I had no idea, but I went into different experiences with it, and I took long walks all day long. I could just walk out in the forest, on the fields, and laying down in the fields, and just, praying and wanting my mighty companions to show up. Like I was praying to God, show me what my purpose is, show me what to do. And after 3 months, about 3 months of that, I said no to so many relationships. I said no to my parents. I said no to friends. I didn't open the door unless I felt it. I didn't answer the phone. And the only one I was taking care of was my son. But he was also very happy to go to friends a lot and go to his dad. We were divorced since he was 4, and at this time he was about 10. And then after 3 months of that, I received an invite to go to Fairfield, Iowa, to do transcendental meditation.
Fairfield, Iowa.
Never even heard of Fairfield, Iowa.
It's a field of dreams.
And you're in Sweden, in fact.
Yeah, it's a
That's
small
funny.
town, but
Yeah.
it's very much into transcendental meditation. Maharishi University and the 2 golden domes are there, and they in 2006 they were gathering 2,000 men and 2,000 women from the whole world to come and meditate in those domes for a year, for 8 hours a day. And I was feeling very drawn to it. So I said yes to that invitation because I wanted God, and I thought, okay, meditating for 8 hours a day.
Gotta get them.
Yeah. But so at the time I had my son Victor, 10 years old. So there was a huge conflict there, what to do, with this calling to go, and then being a mother, and the conflict became so great that I didn't know what to do, and people around me were also reflecting that I should not leave him. Of course, he's young and he needs his mother. So. And I would probably mess him up, and people said, you have to wait till he's 18 at least, and I thought, God doesn't wait. I feel God now. So it was the conflict, and the guilt came up, and this is core here, because the guilt is always what is preventing us from expanding, and we think we should do the right thing. We think we should be loving, and we think we know what loving is. And we really think that loving is for a mother to be with her child. That's a strong belief here in the world. And there are many, many, many concepts like that we stick to, but they are not true. And I was shown, because so I didn't know what to do with this. So I said to God simply, I said, I can't go. I can't go. I feel you calling, but I have to take responsibility for my son. And that day was a very strange day. I felt a complete blank. I didn't know what to do. I just sat down and felt like I had lost my life. I felt like the only thing I wanted to do, I couldn't do, because of this mother role. So I just sat down for a few hours. I just sat there in this void. And then there was this presence all of a sudden, this presence. And in the presence was two light beings, two angel beings, all of a sudden in my bedroom. Mm-hmm. And they were my mom and dad in their higher self, in their pure being, which has nothing, no likeness to their earthly selves.
Right.
They had no likeness, but they were them. They were them. And they communed with me. I communed with them. And the communication was not with words, and it has nothing to do with time. It was a complete, immediate communication. And they answer all my questions in an immediate way. And then they said, Jenny, let us tell you why we're here. You're going to go on a journey, and we are very grateful that you're going to go. And then they seemingly disappeared, and I was there with this experience, and I was like, nothing could stop me. I was going to go to Fairfield, Iowa. And I learned something very deep, because they showed me that I have to follow my heart, and I have to heal my perception, and it's my responsibility, because my perception is off, because this game I was playing, being a daughter, and with my mom and dad not seeing who they are, having lots of conflicts, hating them most of the time, and feeling very trapped and very little, very diminished, like they don't know who I am, and, all those feelings that we carry in this world. I knew that I needed to heal my mind, no matter what it would take. And I wanted to give myself, I had to, or they gave me that permission. The Spirit gave me permission to hand over my son, which was a big deal, a 10-year-old boy who had lots of issues. He had lots of friends. He's a very sweet boy, but he had some fears. So he was throwing up when he went on the school bus, and he had lots of anxiety. So I felt a lot of guilt around leaving him, but the experience with the angels was just so strong that I knew it was right. And he wanted to move to his dad, so that was very good timing. And his dad loved soccer, and he loved soccer, and it was perfect. So all of that was taken care of. And so I traveled to Fairfield, and I arrived a winter day, late November or mid-November in 2006. And it was very cold, extremely cold. You probably know how cold it gets. It's probably the same as, it was like 40, 45 minus Celsius. I don't know Fahrenheit very well, but it was very cold. So I had bought the warmest jacket I could bring, and was there. And at that time they had 100 pandits from India there, like praying, could call them praying machines. 100 men, monks, who were not supposed to see women. And one evening I was walking in this cold winter with my big, huge coat, you know, and completely covered by this huge coat. And I see these 100 bandits walking on a road there, on the road, and they were all dressed in white, like thin white, and I thought, how did they make it in this coat? And then somebody drove up to me and said, "Ma'am, can you please wait here, because they are not supposed to see you." So I waited there, but they all passed by me. So it was so interesting, and a few of them cheated. They looked me in the eyes, you know. And I thought,
the nerve.
yeah, I thought that was really cool experience. And in that, I learned that Spirit wants to undo all this stuff, you know, even this Ayurvedic old, you know, rituals, and which was big. And I only spent 3 weeks there in Fairfield, and it was clear that I didn't intend to move on. I did have David in mind. I remembered David, and I knew I was in America. I was closer to him, but I still didn't know what he was doing at the Peace House. What does it mean? Well, you know, I couldn't just go there, and so I was there in Fairfield, and I had a deep experience with this TM Siddhi program. I learned this Siddhi sutras, and it took me in this meditation that was very profound. So much I didn't want to go to class. It was just an experience. But I knew I had to go to class because it was required. So I had to force myself to go to class one day, and it was as if I was I don't know if you felt that, like walking in a deep mud or something, when you're guided to be still and you have to force yourself to do something. At least that's how it felt for me. And I went there and I shared my experience, and they said, "Not good. We have to check your meditation. This is out of the norm." Because I had only been for 1 or 2 sessions there. So a lady took me out in the room and she said, "I need to check your meditation, and you're gonna meditate for 5 minutes, and then I'm gonna ask you some questions." And I thought, what bullshit is this?
Yeah.
So, because I had a great experience, so I told her I don't need to be checked, and she said no. And she got really nervous. Maharishi has told us we need to do this, and I thought maybe I don't need Maharishi. So,
Sounds like to me.
so I told her that. I said, I don't need this. She got scared. She said, no, I have to. We have to. Meditate now, 10 minutes, and I'm going to ask you some more questions. And I tried, and I said, no, sorry.
It's not working.
No,
Yeah.
I don't need to do this. She said, I have to send you to the headmaster. So,
Oh my goodness.
so she did, and I came into his room, and he because I was in such a profound experience those days. So he said, "You hit me with your heart." He said when I walked into the room,
Wow.
and then we had a beautiful discussion, and I was sharing my experience, and he said, "Yeah, I hear you, but you can't go alone. You need something like this. This is very old. You know, don't you know Ayurveda, and you know, you need this school." And in my mind, the course was just, you know, blinking. And I said to him, "No, I'm gonna leave. I'm quitting." So after that, I went into a deep fear because I didn't know what to do. And I think it was mixed in also having left my son and feeling again like what's next. So I went to the library and I found myself writing an email to David. I said, I think I would like to come to the Peace House. And somehow the fear was so strong that I didn't know how to deal with it. So I had to kind of talk to myself and say, now we go home and go back to the house. And I stayed with a lady in her house. And so I walked myself home and sat on the bed. And then my phone rang. And it was David. And he said, you're welcome to come to the Peace House. And at the same time, the lady in the house wanted to get rid of me. She had some issue with me being in her house, a jealousy issue, because she had a secret relationship with a man who worked in the house.
Oh
that I
my
became
goodness.
friends with, and I didn't know that she
Isn't
had
that
that
funny?
relationship. But he told me afterwards. He said, "Yeah, we have this relationship, but she's ashamed of me because he was much younger than her, and there was something." So she booked She said, "Where do you want to go?" And I said, "I want to go to Cincinnati." Yeah, I want to go to Cincinnati. And she said, "Okay, you got a Greyhound bus ticket on Thursday." And this was
You're out of here.
yeah, you're out of here. So, and first I was, the ego was like offended. I was like,
Yeah.
she can't do that to me,
Right.
But so I was having that feeling like, how can she just be like that? But Spirit was like, no, trust. This is me. Trust this. So I said thank you to her and went on this long bus ride from Fairfield, from Iowa to Ohio. And it was a little scary. It was a lot of big black guys on the bus, and it was in the middle of the night, many hours on the bus. And then I arrived in the middle of the night in Cincinnati, and David wasn't there.
Boy.
And someone else picked me up and took me to the house, and David wasn't there day after day after day. And after a whole week, he came back. So I was there for a week, not really knowing what I was doing. And then David came back, and I had a profound relationship with David coming in that was very profound, that brought me into this light experience where night and day was gone, time was gone, form was gone. I was just in the spirit, and we were telepathic. I could think something and David answered, and it was this beautiful experience. And it went on, and one day I said, I trust David so completely that I trust him more than I trust my own mind, of course, and because I could feel the spirit so deeply. And I said, anything that is not healed, let it come up. Anything. I want all my ego gone. So that invitation I had, and so this light went on, but then one day the ego reared up, and I started, and it was as if I came down to the timeline again, and actually it was a table in the sanctuary that caught my attention, and I thought, oh, I see the table, and it's real. It's here. I can touch it. It's very real. How can you say it doesn't exist, David? And it was this triumphant ego kind of thing, and he was just so patient, and he said, the table is a matter of time. He said, it's a matter of time. And I thought, oh, that's brilliant. It's a matter of time. But that was like the descent into hell, you could call it, because I started to get really afraid then of David and of and lonely, and I started to isolate, and then David had planned to travel, so he left and went to Australia, and he said, you should come to me to Florida when I come back in 2 months, he said. So he was going to leave me in the peace house, and he invited me to come to Florida, but after I think less than a week I left and went back to Sweden and tried to live the old life, coming back as having had all those profound experiences and feeling like spirit more than a person, although in that state I was quite lost. I was very disillusioned, and I spent about 7 months in total disillusionment, trying to be a mother again, trying to act as if I know who I am, and I know, because people thought they knew me. My family, people behaved if I'm Jenny, the old person they knew. And I didn't recognize them. I didn't recognize myself. I had experience of oneness. I had experience of out of time. And there I was in time with people who, think they know me. And it was very difficult. And I could also not talk to them. I couldn't tell them because they are, like the Course talked about it, all images of the past, and that's what they were. And I, of course I can't. And if I had said anything, they would take me to the mental hospital because that's how I, was. So I was alone, and my highest wish was to meet somebody that would have gone through something similar. And I was afraid of David, who was probably the only one that could help me, that could talk to. But so after a long time, I did have some calls with him, and I also met him. He came over to Sweden on some travels, so I met him for a day or two. So that was helpful, but then he continued his travel, and I moved into a peace house in Sweden. There was a family who was studying the Course, but I couldn't really talk much to them either because they had not gone through what I had gone through. So, but slowly I started to have some hope and come out of this disillusionment and this fear, and also feeling this urge to extend. That how it says you can. Like spirit just extends, and I could feel spirit wanting to extend through me, but I was terrified of it. I didn't know what that would look like and what to do. So one day I had a call with David and shared that with him, and then I also was very drawn to a yoga retreat with silence and meditation and fasting, and I said that to David. I want to go to this yoga retreat because I was very drawn to meditation. That's why I was drawn to Fairfield, and so that was like my path. And David said, yeah, go to that if you want to, but if you want, I'd like to invite you to come back and travel with me, he said. And this was just at the end of 2007 and early 2008. So in January of 2008, I had been with my son. He had lived with me then, and we'd spent some time together. And I said to him, I'm going to travel again now. And I had heard the date in my mind, 10th of January. I was going to fly out on the 10th of January. And it came from the Spirit. And my son was like saying, Mom, you have been away for so much. Can't you stay a little longer with me? He said, and he was 11 then. And my heart went to him. I was like, yeah, why can't I? And I felt bad about this plan. And so I tried to find a ticket on the 24th of January instead of the 10th. But it wouldn't flow. It wouldn't come in easily. And I was just praying. And I was like, what do I do? And I felt so guilty. But then Spirit spoke to me and said, you have to follow me. You have to follow me. You have to trust this, and that this is the best. It's your guilt that is, he's just a reflection of your guilt. So I went to him, and I said to him, I have guidance to leave on the 10th. So that's what I'm going to do. And when I said that with clarity, he burst into laughter that came from deep within, and he just put his head in his pillow, and then he looked up, Mom, I don't know why I'm laughing, he said. And it was such a moment of joining, of a deep recognition of, he confirmed, he felt this. And so I went ahead and booked this ticket, and then he had anger again after that. And, because that's, I guess, how it is with this. It's because I had to spend about 3 years and more to face guilt you know, and he reflected it a lot. And that's one thing I pass on to people a lot, that don't be in contact with anyone out of guilt, because they will reflect it. Work on yourself, and then when you have inspiration, join with them. So when I was back in the Peace House and on travels with David, and I had this big guilt come up and concern about my son, and thinking he's maybe gonna get really messed up because I have left him, and then I turned to the course and the lessons, and thought I'd really practice them. So I did. I really practiced them, and when I felt peaceful and happy, I allowed myself to call him, and he was always reflecting back joy, and he never had time to talk. He was playing with friends, and Mom, I gotta go, you know, glad to hear you. And so I learned that whenever I contact him out of guilt, he was angry and sad and blamed me, and whenever I spent my time to clear myself and trust the Holy Spirit and come from strength and joy, he reflected that. So that, you know, the course teaching is very, very profound, and it works. And I feel we need to practice it to experience it, because it's also an experience that is available, and that's what I feel I have been given, because the words of the course can, you know, be just words if we don't have an experience. So yeah, so that was my first years with it, and then after after a few years, I started traveling. I traveled with David for a while, and then I started traveling. I got married in 2012 with Greg Donner, who came to the monastery. So in the beginning, it was just David and I, and Kirsten, and Jason, and Charles, and 2 cats. And then Lisa
Like early
came.
Peace House people.
Early Peace House, yeah.
Yeah, that then went to Utah.
Yeah. So it wasn't a community. It was. I mean, we were just a few people around David, and we went through so much healing. We were like a little family, and I can tell you, when you meet your mighty companions, they reflect also the old family. So the issues that I had to face from the past, I could face them here, because also with the mighty companions, they were sharing the same purpose. It became easy, you know. We could talk together. We did that. We practiced no people pleasing and no private thoughts. So every morning we got together, and it was heated. It was a lot of emotions and thoughts shared. We shared all our thoughts, and we could talk all day long, just be together and to clear things and heal things. And so that went on the first years, and then somebody said, "Come over to Utah. I want to show you my retreat center." Suzanne was that, and so we went over there, and she said, "I would like to donate this, but I own only half." And another lady came up and said, "I'll pay for the other half." So the monastery was donated, and at that time, people wanted to come, so people started coming, and so we started the monastery, and so the community started in 2008. So a lot happened, and I got a religious visa for 5 years. Yeah, so that was like my school. The Holy Spirit gave me a school where I could learn. And then last year, 2019, I graduated from the school because I had guidance to leave the ministry, leave the marriage, leave everything, and just trust the Spirit. I was not going to bring anything, and I had received an inheritance, but even that Spirit said, no, don't bring money, don't bring anything, just trust me. And I didn't know, I had only like 2 or 3 invitations from some people. One was just a weekend, and one was a month that became only like 10 days or 2 weeks, because it's very embarrassing for somebody who has had their private life to have me come into their home. Even though I just live in their home, it's like the light coming into all the corners of, habits and privacy, and she had, she's a beautiful woman, she had 3 sons, and she had her life, and so, but after like 2 weeks, she said, no, I can't. I need to practice on my own. I can't have you here. And so then I thought, okay, where do I go then? And I had, somebody had told me about another lady in Norway who wanted me to come. So I visited another person for a weekend, or maybe it was just one night. And then I had a week in Denmark, or 6 days retreat in Denmark with some people. And then I had an invitation to Ireland for some days. And I called the Irish people and said, I'm available if you want me to stay longer. And they said, yeah, we would like you to stay longer. So things started coming in like that, one after another. But it wasn't like I had a big plan. I had, so many times I was just... I didn't know what was going to come in, and it was a bit unsettling for the ego, and but great for me. Like I felt I've never felt as safe as when I left everything. Like I've never felt as happy and in love with everything, and it was as if my mind all of a sudden became completely available from having had some securities, being married, having a house to be in, and, having safety in form wasn't very safe. And I felt more safe than ever when I came out of that. So that was fascinating. And in Ireland, I was told that somebody wanted to see me that I had met in 2009. I stayed in a cottage in 2009, and it was a farmer. And in 2009, when I was there, I had this kind of a recognition with him that we knew each other from the past life or something deep. But he was terrified of me. He ran over the field. So, but that was 10 years ago. So this time he said, now I'm ready to join with you. Come, can I see you? So we met, and he said he had been praying every day since we met and prayed for guidance. And he had started to receive guidance. And the Spirit had told him to buy certain machines, and also kept telling him in his mind, prepare the farm, prepare, because my people are coming. And he had heard that. So he told me this, and he said, and I didn't know it was you, he said, but I feel it's you. And what you have this place, and you can rest here, and you can be here. And so, and then Spirit started talking to me about Ireland, and Ireland is my home, and I had to tell people I live in Ireland, and Spirit told me to say it. So I had to just obey that. And so I started saying that, and then other people said, yeah, I want to come and be in Ireland with you. I want to do farming with you in Ireland. So this happened the past couple of months, all of this. And then one day the farmer said, I can't have you here.
What the hell?
You have to leave. I need time, he said. I need to clean up the farm, and you have to leave. You have to give me time. You have to give me some space. So I thought, okay, well, where do I go then, Spirit? And somebody had invited me for 2 days to Holland. So I went to Holland and had a great time. And then another person had invited me after those 2 days for 3 more days. And during those 2 days, this was at New Year's, just before the New Year's. And I was like praying, I was like, what do I need? And I had been told that I'm a seed that needs to be planted in the ground. Because I've been with David and I've done so much mind training and I've learned everything metaphysical. And now I need to learn how Spirit wants to use me. And he told me in November, you are a seed and you need to be going to the ground. And a seed needs time to grow. So I knew I needed a space to just be where it can be restful. And so I thought, okay, I need to share that. Because I thought Ireland was that, you know. But Ireland, the farm was very primitive, very cold. It was like going back to the 1800s, literally, and dirty and very messy. And it was like I was living in a storage room, and it was damp, and the farmer was used to having a woman in the house cooking for him, because his mom had died a year ago, and he appreciated it. I cooked a bit for him. So, but Spirit was like, this is not your function.
Thank God.
So I prayed, and then I put out this post on Facebook, and it's where I just shared. It just came through, and it felt good, and I posted, and then this beautiful email came in, saying word for word, like, we have been feeling the same thing, being a seed, and something new is coming. We don't know what it is, and we have 2 apartments, and we want to expand and heal and do this mind training together. And so he shared all of this, and I just felt such a warm invitation. So we had a call, and I felt to say yes, of course. So, and he said, you can stay for as long as you want until the summer. I accept this. I could feel, you know, the gift of it. So that's why I'm here. So here we are. And so in our lives, I feel when we say this big yes, also the Spirit will clear out anything that is not helping us, that, you know, has been helpful so far, and then clear. So I feel that's what we're joining on. And it's all in the Spirit's hands. It's like we have no control. But it is a very deep journey, and, you know, you don't get many friends on this journey. When you really say yes to Spirit, you can get kicked out from the world, but that's a good thing, you know. And the promise of you will, you know, isn't it called the promise, this prayer, where once you have accepted His plan as the one function you would fulfill, there will be nothing that the Holy Spirit will not provide for you. Without your effort, He will go before you and make straight your path, leaving no stone to trip on, no obstacles to bar your way. Nothing you need will be denied you. Yeah, as far as I remember. But all of that, you know, I experienced that. So it's amazing, and we are undoing. You know, we're undoing the false world, and today I had some calls with people, and it was all about that this is a dream, and we're undoing those layers. And this one call I had was, it's like a computer game, and the friend I talked to, he was sharing about the old computer games, like when nothing was saved when you turn off the game, you lost everything.
Right,
You know?
right.
And in the moment he said that, the call just dropped.
Oh.
So it was just really funny.
Yeah.
Imagine.
Yeah, but that's how it is. Like nothing is, when we have gone through the forgiveness, it really, my experience is that it really disappears. And it will not come back, you know, once we really leave something
Really,
behind.
I like how you came through the guilt
Oh my God.
early on, you know, and then still stood in surrender. Now where? Now
Mm.
where?
Yeah,
You know, that I can relate that to David's journey a lot. 'Cause he would just stop.
yeah,
Now where?
yeah.
What? Now where?
Does it get easier to find, what, you know, the Holy Spirit to hear that voice, your higher self, and does it get easier?
Yes.
As a journey, in your
Mhm.
journey?
It gets easier.
So clearer,
Yeah.
more clear,
Mm-hmm.
and more freeing?
Yeah, more
Does
natural.
Does that help your happiness because of the freeing?
Yeah.
And is it, so do you go between like, so physical, you're separate from physical then? And do you still go through a lot of that where you're no awareness of?
No, I still feel the physical and I still see the physical, but I rely only on spirit. So, yeah.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
What happened with your son? Is your son just like, how old is he now?
He is 23 years old
Oh, wow.
now,
Wow.
and he's.
Wow.
So I met him I was going to go see him. So this is how spirit works. And I hadn't seen him. I have seen him a few times when I visited Sweden, but not on his birthday. So this time I planned to go see him on his birthday because I was in Europe and I was in Ireland. But the farmer had a psychic, mentally ill woman in his house.
oh Lord.
And he needed a lot of time to get her moving on. He wanted her to move. He said, I can't let you come into the house until she's moved. But I have to do it gently, he said. And I had a ticket. But Spirit said, no, you have to wait in Ireland until this move is done. So I missed my son's birthday. And that's how Spirit works. Like there is no importance given to those things, you know, and it can seem harsh, and it was, I was like, no, Spirit, really, you know.
Give me a break.
Yeah, but my learning, I have learned to obey because I know that's the way. So I had to make this call to my son, and he cried. He said, I really wanted you to come this time, and.
What happens if you go against, you said obey? I think about that word, but what happens if you?
The Spirit is so loving. It
it's-
comes back in new opportunity, but
Yeah,
you can
you hit it with a hammer
confuse
there.
your mind.
Sledgehammer.
You get confused, and that's what my experience is because that has happened a lot, especially in the beginning, like compromising. I'll do this, and then I'll get back to Spirit, and then I stumble and
That sounds kind of familiar.
you know, yeah, and then find myself lost and feeling like, shit, I should have followed, you know.
So, when are you going to be writing a book? There was that. I know I'm guilty of asking a lot. Well, yeah, I get that.
I'm open to writing a book. I've
So when you stand in surrender, when you stand in surrender, and you feel being moved, and the ego thoughts come up, and you set them aside and keep moving forward, when do you know that that was just ego and it's time to move forward? How do you release that?
how I know.
Yes.
You know, that's where I've received so much help from mighty companions. For example, this time in Ireland when I heard I'm staying, and I had this plan to fly to Sweden, and I felt like I'm not done in Ireland, but I'm gonna go to Sweden. But I heard I'm staying, and then I thought, no, my son's birthday is happening, and everybody here is expecting me to leave. I don't want to ask to stay longer because the farmer didn't want me to stay there, so I just asked other friends
Right.
in Cork. Yeah, so, and I thought, no, I don't want to ask them to stay longer, you know. So I was gonna ignore it, and then I had a call with David, and he's like, "You're staying, right?" Or like he heard and he confirmed it so in such powerful way, and because it's still unworthiness around following and people pleasing. I didn't want to rock the boat with
Right.
people,
Oh,
so
yeah, well, everybody will like me.
so. But when he confirmed, and then I thought, well, at least I need to get the farmer on board. So I had a course meeting like this in Cork, and I invited him to come to the meeting, and I put a movie on for the group, and I said to him, we go out and pray together because I received guidance to stay. And so we did. We sat down and prayed together, and he said, "Yeah, I hear that you're to stay, too." So, because I wouldn't force, something and tell someone I have to stay, and if they don't feel it. So, but he felt it and heard it, and I trust that Spirit will speak to them, and if they still would refuse, I would leave. I wouldn't force it, but yeah. So confirmation through a mighty companion that is very clear has helped a lot.
I
And-
think we've all felt that point where we're standing there going, I surrender.
Yeah.
But
Wait a second,
I surrender,
I gotta clean the basement.
and lead me, take my next step,
Yeah.
Yeah.
or
And that's
through
a,
me.
Yeah.
that's a tough,
It's so rewarding to follow it. It's so
But to be
rewarding.
able to do that, to me, to be able to do that without any strings attached. No asterisk down at the bottom of the page, no footnotes.
But that's what it is to rely on Spirit. And in the beginning, it's more scary. But once you get a hang of it and continue,
doubt.
because
My
it's also,
God.
it is a practice. Like, because is it the ego or the Spirit? You often think like
What
that.
am I listening to?
Yeah. But I would say whatever is inspired, follow it. And you will learn to discern. And also when we go for it, it shows us very soon if it's not the way. There are signs and, things falling apart. Or
I'm not at peace.
Yeah,
Something-
yeah.
But if you're not packing anything, you don't have to worry about much falling apart, though.
No, exactly, that's it.
But I'm not trying to be a smart
Travel
ass,
lightly.
But my question,
Sure.
But my question is, you,
Since when?
what?
We try to be on good behavior because we have guests.
Okay, let me hear your question.
Now, that sequence of events where you went to Iowa and Utah and New Hampshire and wherever else you went, and Ireland and
Howland.
And in most of those places, now, I hope I got this right. In most of those places, it appears to me that somebody asked you to leave.
In
Now-
a few places,
Yeah.
maybe only 3.
Okay, but even if it's 3,
Yeah.
that doesn't do much for the ego. I mean,
There's the
Jenny, I
point.
wish you'd leave, and you just figured out how to get here. And what my point is, then the idea of forgiveness, to be able to, do you not have to worry about forgiveness because you don't, because you look at, the farmer that's got the dirt floor and all the rest of that baloney. With him, for example, what'd you do with him? Just say, see you later, O'Reilly, or whatever his
Yeah,
name.
I'm very graceful with it. I need to be gracious and keep trusting the Spirit. The Spirit will show me the way, and He does.
But-
He does.
But now, does forgiveness come into your?
Everything is forgiveness. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the whole thing with seeing the angel beings,
Yes,
Yeah.
the true perception of who my parents really are.
sure.
versus seeing them in the day to day, there is forgiveness needed to know who they are.
Yes,
So,
yes. Okay.
so that forgiveness of all perception needs to be going on all the time. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You think your intensity of your being, the intensity, was that, do you think that's what was hard, difficult for others to live
Yeah.
with?
Yeah.
Was the intensity of?
Yeah. Of the presence. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You gotta lighten up.
And I wonder too, when you were saying you don't have a lot of friends when you're on your path, and so would you say that's because this is such a different thought system than most people are used to, that they think you were? Well, no,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
we've talked about that
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot, you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
that people
Yeah,
yeah.
would think,
Yeah.
Are
You
you
don't fit
kidding
in.
me?
You're
Right.
not a human being anymore.
Exactly.
That and
Right.
that get used
You're
to
a
that.
human
Yeah.
doing.
You know.
right, okay.
That's it. And
Yes.
and do what you need to do to take care of that, to learn that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I mean,
It's-
in reality, you're a step above, but we won't go there. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
you.
But it is
you've
about
learned-
becoming honest, not
Mhm.
playing the game,
Right,
not acting for approval of others,
right.
not people please. You are a miracle worker, and Spirit wants to use you,
Gotcha.
and every encounter can be a holy encounter,
Mhm.
and that's wonderful.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
you get
yeah.
true friends.
Mhm.
You get to experience love flowing through you, and love coming towards you, and
Right.
and friends that are not true friends, they disappear.
Disappear.
Yeah,
Mm.
and that's okay. You
Yeah.
don't need them. You don't need to play the role
Right,
and the game
Right.
anymore.
Mhm.
So,
yeah.
So your sense of oneness with all, that's
yeah,
way up, the oneness,
way up. What do you mean?
your sense of oneness with,
Yeah.
with
That
all.
you
With
feel
everything.
that.
With that,
Yeah.
yeah, that probably,
It
Not just
becomes
humans.
natural. Yeah,
What
Yeah.
about animals?
yeah, animals too.
yeah.
Yeah.
And when you said you were a little bit African American, I assume men on the bus, and I'm
Right.
thinking, because I've been in inner city, working, and I think that at times, and then I've always wondered, what is it that we're so afraid of?
Mhm.
And so, but I've worked.
Fear is a hell of a thing.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, that
But I mean, to
Fear
know
of-
the oneness, we're all one, and
Well,
We're
sure.
afraid of God's love. That's
Yeah.
underneath.
Mm.
I think
Those
you're-
other things are just little projections.
Mhm.
Of the big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fear of death, fear of people, fear of,
Mhm.
fear of stirring up somebody's emotions. We're not really afraid of those things. They are just cover over the deep fear of God's love.
Yeah, because intense, because we
Powerful.
want to go our own way.
Mhm.
What-
Yeah, we want to say no to God. Yeah, say no to our own self.
yeah.
That's what I was gonna ask. Does it always have to be so extreme? I have to travel across Europe and leave my child.
No.
Like
no.
I want to learn how to live
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
in
Well,
my.
the practice is to keep handing things over, handing over worries, handing over people, handing over issues, handing over plans, handing over your thoughts.
Yeah.
Keep handing everything over. And then you're led and shown and know. Because that's people, people are afraid of sacrifice. The belief
Oh,
in
they are.
sacrifice is so deep.
Mhm.
I'm going to lose everything if I follow God, and
Yeah.
I'm going to be sent
Yeah.
to the darkest corner of Africa. Or, those fears.
What's going to happen to all my stuff?
Yeah. Yeah. And that is and he talks a lot about the fear of sacrifice. It's interesting to read it because
Mhm.
it's strong thing. And in the development of trust in the back, in the manual for teachers, where he talks about the belief in sacrifice is so strong that you sort the valuable from the valueless, and then you think you have to give up your most valuable thing. But then he's saying, you will actually learn this only by giving it up. He's saying, and how I take, that's a giving it over, and then to be shown with it. And the many relationships are just going to be used for your healing. So if you have a child, just practice in that relationship to be guided.
Yeah. Do you think I read a quote from, you heard of Teal Swan?
Mhm.
She said you know, we're taught that we can't have our cake and eating it too, but do you feel like this is your cake and eating it too? I mean,
I feel like I'm given everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels really beautiful, and
Yeah.
but at times it is the fear, you know,
Yeah.
the fear in between those, because the pattern of the mind is deep, the beliefs and the conditioning, and it's deep. So it's a lot of facing, and I love that journey of facing stuff and inviting stuff to come up to awareness. You know, you can have a great life by waking up every morning and say, okay, Holy Spirit, what is my adventure today? You know, I give this day to you. Show me what, you know.
And then throughout the day.
Yeah, and then throughout the day.
Each moment.
Don't forget it in the afternoon. Yeah. Take some time. Take even like 5 minutes with Spirit, you know.
Yeah.
Just,
Remember
what do
what we
you-
talked about this morning? Let's go back there.
Yeah.
mm,
Like some
I've been spending time
There's
recently,
Like right there if you want to refill it.
and I've been, you know, calling people, you know, around the country, around Michigan, around the people that mean something to me, and I'm telling them as much, and that is so fulfilling for me,
mhm,
and I'm finding out stuff that I really didn't want to know, but their reaction to what I'm saying is none of my business.
mhm. Exactly.
You
That's
know,
it. You
and-
drop it. That's
and
yeah.
and to be able to pick up the phone
Mm,
and call these people,
mm, mm,
you know, and because believe me, I'm the recipient of a lot of good fortune.
mhm,
You know, I have wonderful people in my life currently. I've had wonderful people in my life in the past.
mhm,
People that have put up with me with all my warts and, you know, stub toes and, you know, all the rest of it. And they've
Yeah.
questions. But listening to your story, I've known some pretty courageous people over time.
mhm,
Not to say I'm anything special, but I have met some really, really courageous folks.
mhm,
And quite frankly, I know you're not seeking any of this, so I'm just saying this out of my heart, not out of my intellect.
mhm.
That the courage you present I think it gives a lot of hope to scaredy cats like me,
Mm.
you know, and
I'm glad.
and having Andy back in this room tonight, you know, it's great. You know, it's just wonderful to have you back in here, Andy. And I'm not just saying this to toot my own horn. You know, I'm just saying it because if I don't say it now, I may not get another opportunity.
Mhm. Thank you.
You know,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
you know, I want
Thank
you
you.
on my side to fight. Yeah, I'm sorry. You know, you're very courageous, and because I don't know how you did some of that stuff.
And I love that I can be a demonstration of
Yes.
that it works.
Yes.
You know,
Yes, exactly. That's
because
exactly.
I think
you know,
that's
but it's,
the big doubt for
I
most
mean,
people.
to me tonight is another one of the miracles of this fellowship.
Beautiful.
Of
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
way of life.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Okay, Andy.
Mhm.
take it away, Andy. I'm sorry.
Thanks, Phil. I guess if I had known at the beginning, like when I first picked up A Course in Miracles, like how this was all going to unfold, I think I would have had a lot less fear. But, you know, it's,
Yeah.
Do you still feel to share? Where are you at with your
yeah,
mind? Yeah.
yeah. It's just going to take me a second to,
Yeah.
to sink in
Just yeah, it's okay.
here. Some major things that I've learned with just 12 days with Jenny. And yeah, it's hard to be in her presence. I feel I am a puppy in training. The mind training and the power of it is just all just becoming so clear. We all have so much hope because it's almost like our minds are in charge of this thing. Just allow the healing to happen.
Yeah.
And so it's hard, it's really nice to be in this room today and like after spending so much time joining, like when Jenny first came, I said, what does joining even mean? I've wanted
Good
it my
point.
whole life. Like, what does that mean? And now we've had multiple experiences of being in that place together where everything falls away. And then I get really scared.
Yeah.
It's just like I now know the difference between love and fear.
Oh, boy.
It took me 42 years. And now the difference between love and guilt and love and fear
Oh, yeah.
is so profound that now it's a choice to
I was
only
gonna
choose
say,
love.
And you know
Yeah,
what to
yeah.
choose.
And it's
now.
black and white.
Yeah, it's not.
And when it's, and so that's been a major thing for me, realizing just this is 1% reading it and 99% application. And things start to move really fast once you start to really get some traction. For me, it wasn't about reading it or talking about it or intellectualizing it. I am so naturally miserable that I had to do the workbook and then do the workbook again.
Yep.
And then again. And then
Oh, yeah.
follow my desire. This is my ego. It's like,
Oh.
I wanted to sit, like Karen used to say, Andy, you're an armchair Buddha, because I couldn't leave my house. Peaceful as hell at home. Couldn't leave my house. So it's like, I had to let life develop. And is this my ego? After a while, I didn't care what it is. Because it wasn't a matter of what I'm doing, it's a matter of how I'm doing it. What's the purpose? It's like, so anything could flow through me.
Yeah.
Even an email to Jenny, when I felt inspired, and this thing flowed through, it was that allowing of, and all those things.
Shall we read it?
Sure, yeah.
It will take me a couple of minutes to
But
find.
being able to do that,
Being able to allow it
you
to
read
flow.
through, you got word of Jenny.
And so what I'm finding
And
is that this book is coming true for me, literally.
And,
This book is written literally,
right.
if we allow it to happen to us.
And I think the course, someplace in the course, in the text, it speaks to that. This is to be taken literally.
But then life speaks to it.
Sure, that,
And
well,
then, so we can fold into this new way of
Oh,
being
yeah.
and thinking, and then really identify with it, and then hold on to it, fan that flame.
yeah.
And then if anything comes up, even in the car, we pull over, and it's prayer time. It's like, this is serious mind training.
Yeah.
To sink into there and to stay there
Yes, yes.
is
The importance of that, it can't be overstated,
it's
Yeah, you're right.
so.
Yeah.
Did you find it?
Yeah. So I put out this on the 28th of December on Facebook. Would you like to accommodate a mystic? I'm having a quiet winter, and it seems I need a place to stay from time to time where I can be in stillness and go deeper. I have received the words, you are a seed that needs to go into the soil this winter. It is about preparing. It seems I'm getting ready to be used in a bigger capacity and maybe different. I love our shared purpose of awakening and joining for healing. If I stay in your home, I'd need a quiet space to myself, and I'm very open to times of joining, sharing meals, maybe a movie or a talk or a walk together. Write to me if you're interested or if you want to know more. And then I shared my website.
How many other responses did you get
Then
besides Andy?
I only got that, and I had
Oh my God.
that was like the real response. I had a few
Yep.
people in Holland that said, one woman said, I get terrified, but I feel guided to say you can stay with me. But I'm terrified. She said, I think I'm going to need to let go of everything if you come, she said. So I said, I think the Holy Spirit will spare you this time. So she just needed to express it.
Can you spell out what your website is? JENN.
Why? Donner.net.
DONNER.
Yeah.
Just like the Donner Party.
Yeah, that's what it is.
We heard about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've heard about it. I looked it up.
I got it.
It's Brad's here.
What?
I'm trying to find your email, but I
We'll see in
don't.
the future, we'll see in the pasture. If I had 2 pieces of bread, I'd make a sandwich out of you.
Oh, that's love. That sounds like love. Sweet.
You were just,
Yeah, thank you. Nice
You
to
bet.
meet you.
you as well. Thank you.
Take
Here,
care.
is this yours, Phil?
No, it's
Oh.
Steve.
All right,
Okay.
so
Thank you,
does,
Bye.
does anybody want to see the, or hear the email?
Yes, I do.
Bill?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. See, I got a good memory, but it didn't last very long.
So to prep the story, we opened a new store in Beulah this year, and it has an apartment above it. And instead of renting it on Airbnb, we just felt like we wanted to give it to someone like that needed rest. Like we didn't want to rent it. Like
Right.
we just wanted to have it available and just wanted to do something of purpose with it. So we were preparing it, emptying it out, and just had it in mind, this prayer. So I woke up at 5:45 in the morning on Sunday morning, and I saw this on Facebook. And I thought, oh dear God. And it just flowed right through me. And I said, hey, Paul, what do you think? She said, yeah, send it. Or write an email and send it. And I haven't been able to write a sentence in like 10 years. And this thing just flowed through me. In 40 seconds, I hit send, and I said, it's done. She's on her way. It's just, I knew it.
Yeah.
I just knew that I had to go through the motions, like it was a decision in my mind I had to make, is almost how it felt. It was just. And so, here we are. I said, Jenny, my name is Andy, and we've been connected on Facebook for quite some time. Like you, we have also been receiving the message you are a seed that needs to go into the soil this winter. Like normally we're in Arizona. I'm here, like, to be planted.
Oh.
So we weren't planning on leaving. So, you are a seed that needs to go into the soil this winter. It's about preparing. It seems I'm getting ready to be used in a bigger capacity and maybe different. Spirit added. This is what Spirit added to me. You have 2 beautiful, unique apartments that can be shared with holy companions. So we have asked Spirit to guide us to those seeking solitude, to those seeking us, and to those we are seeking. I don't even remember that. Yeah. Here, it gets a little bit, opens up again. It says, on a personal level, myself been core students for 8 years. After experiencing the consequences of living only under the ego's guidance. Although we're not perfect, we seem to have cleared many of the hurdles described in ACIM chapter 17, 5, the healed relationships. The healed relationship. Our goal for our relationship is to be a constant expression of the holy instant living in this world. That's the goal. A constant. Not intermittent.
Right.
Constant.
And what does that mean to you?
The constant holy instant is when we are, this is what comes to mind for me. In love with you. Not I love you, but I am in love with you.
Together with you.
Together.
In love
We
together.
are in love together. Like we're in the bathtub together,
Mhm.
but we're in love together. And that is such a powerful, peaceful, present place. It's not personal.
Right.
And that is where I can learn to constantly live from. And now I'm seeing how badly I want it. It's so powerful. It's so profound, and it's the only thing that's real to me. That I am willing to give up everything to follow this without even a second of hesitation.
Well, and that sounded exactly like what your whole story was.
Yeah.
You were willing to give up
Yeah.
your son, your, all of
It's
that.
no
and not
sacrifice.
even, right.
The sacrifice is staying, not
and
following
not
it.
doing it.
And also, it's about the safety in planning. We all find some kind of safety in knowing what's going to happen in the future, and even I have to undo that. So this plan about Ireland that was so strong, that I was going to be in Ireland and this farm and all the people that was going to come, and I had to give that over. And one of the persons that were going to come, she was going to come from America. Her name is Jennifer, and she gave me $500 as a contribution towards the Irish project to show her commitment. She said, and on one of our calls, she said, but I have this feeling that I want to bring you to America. I really want to bring you to America, she said one time. And when I got here, like the only thing I had paid for to get here was my ticket, and it was about $500. So today I talked to her, and she said, "Remember, I said I want to bring you to America." I said, "Yeah." And then after the call, I realized, oh, she paid for my trip to America instead of the Irish project,
Right,
you know.
right.
So it's like all so perfect, and it shows also, okay, let go of that plan about Ireland and allow what comes in to come in. So to let go of plans, even when we think they are guided.
Because they're limiting.
Yeah, because it's future. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Mm.
So, I mean, just to make this point and drive it home, 8 years ago when I came to this court, I worked at the adult foster care home. I barely had enough gas money to get here or to get back. You know, life wasn't going so well. You know what I mean? You don't end up in reading this book if things are going really, really well. So, we started from nothing with the jewelry business and let spirit guide us, and it grew into this just monster. Now another monster, and an online monster. It's like, dear Lord, we don't even deserve this. And I love it. It's the only thing I've ever liked to do in my life. But now that I see the potential of what this book, where we can go, I will leave it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
If it's asked. Not even a thought. Not even a care. As we just learned, my partner of 8 years just walked out the door.
This book, by the way, is, some of you weren't here, but I spent 3 years compiling this.
That's what Deb had told
David.
us.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So-
Thank you very much.
It's
Yeah,
helpful.
I can't wait to read it.
I wanted to share because I put everything in this. I put my heart into putting it together,
I'm sure.
and everything that's been helpful for me in my collaboration with David. I made sure to include it. Yeah.
Thank you. My,
Yeah.
my
I thought
oldest
it was
daughter came home at the holidays, and she took a peek in it, and I told her it was real inspiring. And she's done the course. Her husband's big into the course, but they're in Ann Arbor. They don't have a. I don't know. He said that he was his time, you know, when he wants to meet with, and anyway, but she said, "Dad, I want to read that book badly."
Nice.
And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was tempted to give it to her, and I said, "Oh, I want, you know,
Yeah.
I will."
Great. It's received a really beautiful review from the group that decides what books go into American libraries, like, you know, general libraries, and I thought it was amazing. A very beautiful review.
Yeah.
So that was
It's
quite
helped
nice.
to,
Yeah.
like you said, enliven this too.
Yeah.
And that's what Deb said, you know, when she gave it to us, and I mean, I just right away, like, wow. And,
Yeah.
So you give it
Yeah.
up. And there's no looking back.
There's no looking back.
No reason to look back, no reason to limit yourself with those thoughts.
Yeah. It makes no sense. I see how the people in my lives are thoughts and their ideas, and, you know, just the first lesson, what was it? It was the non-compromise. Oh, when Jenny first met me, her eyes, she's like, oh man, we have a project here, and it's just, is how it felt on my end, and just that first lesson, non-compromise, and what does that even mean? I've been reading this 8 years, but 10 minutes in, I knew exactly what it meant, and exactly the decision that had to be made.
What does that mean? Can you talk about that a little bit?
No compromise.
No compromises with what?
So this
Communication, right?
Yeah.
Jenny is you.
Yeah.
With communication?
I thought it was profound.
Man, it is hot in here.
I'm
Ah.
You guys are.
kind
It's
of
hard
cool.
to. It's hard to explain. I had to be fully honest. I had to be fully honest,
No people, please.
and I had to let go of any concepts of things that. I mean, yeah, we are public figures in Benzie County. You can't just break up and walk away and like leave businesses. It's like things like that, just very simple, like
Right.
small ideas. Or a good partner doesn't say, "I don't want to be together anymore." But it turns out when you say that and you let them go, yeah, they might kick and scream for an hour tops, and then the next day, the freedom that I gave myself, I gave them,
Right,
and she is just as free as I am.
right.
And so this 8-year relationship that ended in a flash, ended in healing and pure love. And it was the most amazing thing I'd ever experienced. But it took me being honest
Mm,
about what I wanted. And what I want was not a relationship,
right,
but what I want is the goal, is the purpose. I had to be all in.
right.
And as soon as I said it out loud, boy, the dreams went poof. And it's not like I'm sad, it's like hooray.
I was gonna say.
It's hooray.
It
It's like,
sounds like, yeah.
Dear Lord, what a lesson. And now that honesty, why, this is a
You
dream.
can't stop
We have to be
it.
just so clear. I've lived 42 years of a sloppy life, 8 of which is getting better. Still sloppy. I get to not live with, since she has her own apartment, but be around
Right.
whenever. She's always available.
What is sloppy, what
But
is it? Oh,
I get to be around a crystal clear presence.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
A crystal clear, loving presence that can redirect me so
Mhm.
gently that I want the correction.
Right.
It is just, it's amazing. Crystal clear presence, and now I know what's possible.
And 2 weeks ago, you would not have had a clue that this is what your life was gonna.
If I had known, I wouldn't have sent an email.
Oh, you wouldn't?
Right.
You wouldn't have?
Wouldn't have been listening.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You were ready.
Okay, but you were, yeah.
It all happens.
all happened
We have to make the
perfectly.
choices. It doesn't happen for us.
Right,
Mhm.
That's what in a way it happens for us.
yeah,
But the choices of honesty and,
Right.
Mhm.
honest communication and I'm so like disoriented by this all. I'm just happy to be here sitting in love. I don't, it's been an amazing journey.
it
and
sounds like it. I hope you guys will come back and share some more because it's
Yeah.
been very,
Yeah,
yeah.
can come back in a few weeks maybe. Stay open to that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Or we may do a gathering over
Yeah.
there. So
Oh,
I have a
Over
great
in Brunswick?
space.
Would it,
Oh, okay.
would it be open to?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
how would we know about it? do you
Oh,
think?
you'll
We
know.
would let you know. Can we let you know, and then
Yeah.
you let the group
Cause
know?
if the spirit's
Great.
telling me one thing, and
Spirit's
No.
telling you something.
What?
Yeah.
Now, you did have a
Beautiful.
group over there, is that still intact or that kinda went away? Yeah,
To intellectualize
Yeah.
in the course. This
Right.
is not to be,
right,
it's to be remembered, but not intellectualized.
right.
You know.
I joined we had a Neil Donald Walsh group over there at one time over Dead Stream Road, and that was, like you said, intellectualizing. And it got arguments, and I thought,
That's not what we're here.
what's,
Oh my God.
We're here to join the purpose.
Exactly.
Period.
Yeah,
thanks a
I
lot for
feel,
coming.
yeah.
Gosh.
This has been really
You might-
nice.
You might come
Really
back
beautiful.
next Tuesday or Tuesday, who knows, huh?